A very pleasant evening to all of you. Welcome to the new episode of the academic program on obesity management, which is hosted by Docplexus and Center for Metabolic Surgery. Headed by Dr. Ramen Goel, CMS is amongst India's top pediatric surgery center. It represents a team of surgeons, physicians, dietitians, and psychologists to assist on weight loss surgeries. Today, we will be discussing the role of diet in obesity. The existing scientific evidence suggests that dietary fat can play a significant role in weight loss and maintenance. Several meta-analyses of interventional trial demonstrates that fat-reduced diets lead to a greater weight loss than normal fat diets. So to talk about it more, we have our eminent speaker today, Dr. Jagmeet Madan. She is an eminent nutritionist, national president of Indian Dietetic Association, principal and professor, Department of Food and Nutrition and Dietetics at Sir Whittle Das College of Home Science, SNDT Women's University. She is gold medalist and recipient of Young Scientist Award and Dr. Ramanathan Award by the Nutrition Society of India. She was awarded Maharshi Karve Uttar Krishna Award, which is the Best Teacher Award in the SNDT Women's University. She is a lead principal investigator of the International Research Project on Pre-Diabetes in Adolescent and Young Adults. She has more than 50 publications and many chapters in the book to her credit, and she's also been participating as a trainer in various national and international conferences. It's an honor to have you here, Dr. Madan. I would now request you to please start your presentation.
So a very good evening to one and all. At the outset, thank you very much, Dr. Goel, for giving me this opportunity. And I think me and Dr. Goel, we worked for a long time together, and our relationship goes back in decades. And I think when he told me that he's doing such a wonderful program for family physicians, I felt that I should definitely be a part of it. So just let me share my screen for a second, and you have to just quickly tell me if you can see my presentation.
We can, doctor. Please go ahead.
Sure. So friends, today we are going to talk about obesity, nutrition, and I've added one word or a phrase which is very important for every family physician to understand, and that is metabolic health. As a nutritionist, I vouch for the statement that let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food, which was, documented by Hippocrates many, many years ago. But I go one step ahead from the statement, and I say that your food can work as medicine, provided you use it like a medicine. You are all family physicians and doctors. How do you use a medicine? It's a specific compound which you quantify, you define the frequency and say that, yes, you take it, it becomes a medication. Today, the science of nutrition has advanced so much that we can actually draw a checklist of everyday food. We can quantify it, we can define the frequency, and I can say that this is your checklist of everyday food. If you use it on day-to-day basis, believe me, it works like a medicine. So basically what we are trying to say is that what you give to your body on day-to-day basis becomes a substrate for various body regulators which are synthesized in the body. And there is huge amount of science which is available to nutrition scientists and nutritionists, because based on that, we are in a position to identify the physiologically active components in food. We can quantify and we can even define the frequency that in a day, how much of that should be incorporated so that it has beneficial effects. Now, let me bring you to another perspective. Very often, we get overwhelmed with, terms like obesity, overweight, underweight. These are all different forms of malnutrition. But in an Indian scenario, we are very peculiar as a population. We have not only double, we have a triple burden of malnutrition. So on one side, we have gross undernutrition. On the other side, we have gross overnutrition. And in both ends of the spectrum, we have what we call as the micronutrient malnutrition. And more than that, what we also have very peculiar in us is that at lower BMIs, we tend to accumulate
On
more
obesity
body fat.
management.
Now, what is obesity? Essentially, if you define obesity, is excess accumulation of body fat. And I bring you back to what I was talking, that the moment you accumulate fat in your body, fat is a factory of hormones. So it starts, creating an imbalance, a hormonal imbalance in your body, and, triggers the synthesis number of what we call technically is the inflammatory markers. So to my mind, obesity is equivalent to high body fat, which is equivalent to high level of inflammation. And this inflammatory environment, if it is laden with micronutrient malnutrition, it is something like, it is a hidden bomb, or it's the tip of the iceberg, which will burst with a simple trigger. That's precisely what happened during pandemic, when we saw that in the second wave, a lot of young people fell prey to the pandemic. So here, where we went wrong was, very often in India, we relate our fitness to our looks. But let me tell you, looks can be very deceptive. You may have low BMI, but yet you may be carrying a high amount of body fat and low muscle mass, which means the inflammatory state of your body is very, very high. And if you've not paid attention to what you have been eating on day-to-day basis, you are definitely carrying micronutrient malnutrition. So it's a lethal combination of the two, which pushed young people into the virus, attacking them, and they getting affected. And of course, with the pandemic times, our sedentary lifestyles, our stress, the various kinds of stress, the occupational hazards of sitting, which somehow unknowingly we all get trapped into. So these are all hidden contributors of inflammatory state. Now, the question is, why is metabolic health important? Okay. Now, if I have to explain to you that why metabolic health is important, let's understand that if I have to, classify a given population into phenotypes which are based on the metabolic health, I will find 4 types of phenotypes, right? I may have people who are metabolically healthy, and I'm sure all family physicians will understand that, the markers of metabolic health are actually your, markers of metabolic syndrome, the amount of visceral fat, the insulin, hyperinsulinemia, and the cardiovascular risk factors. So if you have more than 2 metabolic risk factors, your metabolic health is at stake. So you may have people who may be having normal BMI and no metabolic risk factors. But you may have people who are metabolically unhealthy, but they are non-obese. And that's what I was talking about when I said lean obesity. So it's the lean obesity which bothers, we as nutritionists and you as family physician, because they absolutely go, undiagnosed, and all of a sudden they are hit with a lot of trouble. Of course, we may have metabolically healthy obese. People may have high BMI, but they may be not having any abnormality at the metabolic health level. And of course, we will have metabolically unhealthy and obese. Now, why am I talking about this is because the moment your metabolic health risk parameters go up, remember there's a direct correlation of that with the state of inflammation in the body. And I already told you that inflammation is the trigger for all problems which we are having, cut across age group, cut across all socio-economic strata. Now, let me bring you to the first concept, which we as professionals have to guide our patients. We have to give them positive messages, and we have to tell them that management of obesity is not depriving yourself of food, but managing of obesity is the ability to learn the art of eating right. So eating does not lead to obesity. It's the wrong eating which leads to obesity. So that's one misconception which you have to tell people so that they don't go, haywire in terms of following extreme diets and disturbing the entire milieu of the body. So what is it that we need to tell them? We definitely need to tell and explain every patient the concept of healthy plate. So what is this concept of healthy plate? In an Indian scenario, you can relate it to an Indian thali, and you can have, 4 bowls in the Indian thali, not more than 4. Out of that 4, I would have 2 bowls filled with vegetables. I'll take this fruit out of this plate because this is from Harvard Medical School, but I'm trying to customize this to an Indian thali where I would have 2 bowls of vegetables. One will be raw in the form of colored vegetables, something which I can consume as a salad, and one bowl will be cooked vegetable. And again, reminding that potato is not a vegetable. Okay, if I have 1 bowl of potato bhaji, it's like I've already had 1 serving of a cereal. So 2 bowls of vegetables in the plate. So that's where my fiber is coming. That's where my antioxidants are coming, right? That's where my micronutrients are coming. The 1/4 of the plate is my healthy protein. When I say healthy protein, I'll elaborate a little bit about this more because to my mind, in Indian thali, this quarter is most of the time missing. And what gets overemphasized is the quarter of grains. So we have to give a very clear message that out of the 4 bowls, you need to understand what food group you need to prioritize. You need to prioritize your vegetable food group, half cooked, half raw. You must have a good quality protein in your plate, whether you have it as egg or curd or dal or non-veg, So there are plenty of food sources which give you protein, and you need to ration. I underline the word ration the carbohydrates in your plate. And those carbohydrates should not be your white bread, rumali roti, khari, bun pao, but it should be a whole grain cereal. And today, I would vouch for millets, which every individual should look for, the locally available millets, which should be added to this plate in this much quantity only. Why? Because millets are adding fiber, adding micronutrients to your plate. So with this understanding of plate, a healthy plate, please keep a bowl of curd on the side, which is a bonus, which you can add, and keep a glass of water there so that this is also to be emphasized that hydration is very, very important, and minimal use of oils, that is just about, I would say 1 level tablespoon, which is about 8 to 10 ml per person per day. So this is where we are. We need to be giving the right perspective to people that by managing obesity is not to deprive you of food. Managing obesity is to know what to emphasize and how to strike a balance in your plate. So I again go back and remind you that which are the nutrients which need to be emphasized in the management of obesity. Of course, the first and the foremost is the protein, which I told you in Indian diets gets very much neglected. And, by default, most of the Indians are vegetarians. Even the non-vegetarians are vegetarian because they don't consume more than 2 or 3 times non-veg food. The second important non-nutrient component, but it is like a nutrient, is dietary fiber. So it is so very important, not only in the management of obesity. We have studies to show that the moment you up your fiber intake, your body fat goes down, right? And not only that, it also has a direct correlation with your gut microflora. And today's science tells us the better gut microorganisms you have, the more of beneficial microorganisms you have, the better you have regulation of your hunger, satiety, and also release of those biochemical regulators which have a role to play in the management of obesity and even something like diabetes. Then we talk of healthy fats. But if you see the order in which I've put, so I need to emphasize on protein, but I need to understand what is good quality protein. I need to emphasize on fiber, and I need to know what will give me fiber. And I need to have good quality fat. So today, 2 handfuls of nuts is an easy recommendation from a nutritionist. And this recommendation comes with a caution that please limit the oil which you use in your cooking. Okay, please limit the high fat, salt, sugar snacks which you may be consuming, because Indians are known to be snackers, right? And especially the young Indians are heavily dependent on snacks. So science has revealed, and I'll share some of our work, that if you just replace these HFSS snacks with handful of nuts, and we've done some work with almonds, it has shown an effect on the not only the HbA1c and the cardiometabolic risk factors, but it has also shown a decrease in the inflammatory markers. So, which is of importance. Now, going to proteins. So, as family physicians, I think you are the first contact with the patient. So, you have to guide the patient that this is the concept of healthy plate. You need to know your portions, and you need to know what will give you protein, first of all. So, the first thing is that you get protein from so many sources. You get protein from vegetable sources, so which is excellent sources, your dals and pulses. And we Indians are blessed to have like a range of dals and pulses. If I start making one today, for the next 15 days, I will not repeat it because I have so much variety. And every dal and pulse, one bowl will give you 6 to 7 grams of protein. Of course, soybean topping the chart. Milk and milk products, excellent source of protein, but go for low fat milk products in the obesity management. One glass of milk, one bowl of 200 ml bowl of curd will easily give you 6 to 7 grams of protein. 6 to 7 pieces of paneer made out of low fat will give you, 6 to 7 grams of protein. So for vegetarians, if they are lacto-vegetarian, I think it's a blessing, because they get the goodness of protein from the milk and milk protein, so that whatever is missing in pulses as protein gets complemented and the protein gets utilized in the body well. Non-vegetarians have the benefit because, like say one egg will give you 6 to 7 grams of protein. Egg white will give you about 3 grams of protein. And today we recommend 3 to 4 egg whites a day because it's pure protein, right? And it again has a remarkable effect on the management of obesity. Similarly, 100 grams, which is like, your one palm size portion of meat, especially the lean cuts of meat, we would recommend chicken and, fatty fishes, but cooked in the right way, not fried, not converted into gravies, but either steamed, baked, marinated, grilled, or, cooked on non-stick pan, so that you take the goodness of, that 100 grams of chicken or fish, which will give you close to 20 grams of protein. Now, healthy fats, I already told you today as nutritionists, we vouch for good quality fat because they have a closest relationship to all the cardiometabolic risk factors. So, what is the quality of fat which we are recommending? We are recommending a lot of emphasis on monounsaturated fatty acids, which you get plenty from all the nuts and oilseeds. Majority of the nuts will give you very high level of MUFA. And the second fatty acids which we emphasized is omega-3. And I will just share some of the details that some of the nuts are very good sources of omega-3. You also have, certain oil seeds like flax seeds, chia seeds, which are also very good sources of omega-3. But don't forget that besides nuts and oil seeds, if you're consuming millet, especially something like bajra, if you're consuming whole pulses, they are also contributing to omega-3 in your diet. And these are some of the fatty fishes, which all of you know, they give you the ready form of omega-3. Now, the third aspect, which you really need to emphasize to your patients, is that you don't only need to, understand your macronutrients, that is your carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. You also need to pay attention to the micronutrients, and which became very evident during pandemic, that's where the quality of nutrition, the quality of your eating is important. So, of course, we have huge amount of research available that vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, vitamin A top the charts in boosting immunity. Of course, they're supported by all the other vitamins and minerals, which I have mentioned over here. So I'm not going to take too much time, but I just thought that, I need to highlight that very often we are very good at taking supplements. Okay. But without understanding, I think this is one message which you need to give to your patients, that before you even pop a pill of supplement, look at your diet, take help of a nutritionist, a qualified, trained, professional nutritionist to evaluate your diet, where you are in terms of your micronutrient intake. So if I'm looking at vitamin C, as Indians, all these foods which you are seeing on the screen are very readily available to us. So something like amla is in season throughout the year. And one amla can take care of your whole day's, vitamin C requirement. Something like guava is in season today. One guava will give you 214 milligrams of vitamin C. So some of these messages need to reach out to people. They should know which are the vegetables which are giving us vitamin C. And of course, which are the fruits which are giving us vitamin C. And remember, always tell your patients that vitamin C, as much as possible, should be consumed freshly cut in form of salads, preferably salads, so that you do not lose this vitamin by heat treatment. Vitamin D, again, a superstar in micronutrients. But of course, as a nutritionist, I would say we are at a loss in terms of the various vitamin D rich food sources. Of course, milk and milk products are, good sources of vitamin D. Egg is a good source of vitamin D, but still, I think the best source is the sunlight. So exposure to sunlight, 11 to 1 p.m., even if it is 15 to 20 minutes, on a daily basis, I think it is good, because now, especially, we are all indoors. We don't pay attention to this. And of course, vitamin D deficiency is rampant in India. Zinc, another important micronutrient, which is again available in so many of your food items. If you look at the quantity, I think egg tops the chart, followed by chicken, followed by your nuts and oil seeds, followed by your pulses. So we need to know that which are the food groups which we must emphasize. Similarly, vitamin A, one message going to the patient, that using colored vegetables and fruits will adequately give you a whole lot of carotenoids, which are the precursors for vitamin A, right? And green leafy vegetables for sure, because, they are also containing beta carotene. Besides this, animal foods like egg, chicken, fish also give you the ready form of vitamin A. Now, then I bring you to the next concept, and that is that people should understand that how do I get more by eating less? And that is the term which I think every family physician need to understand and make the patient understand that there is a word called nutrient density. That means how much of nutrients can be provided by one serving or a defined caloric intake or a defined quantity of food is the nutrient density of that food. And remember that there are so many food groups which not only provide you one nutrient, but they provide you many, many nutrients. So I take you to, which are the food groups which will give you more nutrients in smaller amounts. So if I'm telling you to have 2 handful of nuts, it's not only giving you mufa and omega 3, it is giving you fiber. It is giving you important vitamins like vitamin E. It is giving you important minerals like magnesium, zinc, selenium. So it's a powerhouse of nutrients which you are getting through that 2 handfuls of nuts every day. But you have to equate it in your caloric intake, that you do away with your HFSS foods and you replace them by incorporating nuts as snacks. Similarly, pulses and dals. I already told you, they are not only powerhouses of protein, but they give you very good quality carbohydrate. And I'll show you some data, what we worked on. The resistant starch content of pulses is highest. And this resistant starch is the quality carbohydrate, which actually creates an anti-inflammatory environment in the body. It works on body fat. It works on the gut microflora. It also works on the blood sugars and lipid profile. Similarly, colored vegetables and fruits, which I just said. So they are again containing whole lot of vitamins and minerals, and milk and milk products, I can be very well combined with fruits, nuts. Cereals can be combined with pulses. So these are all ways to make your food nutrient dense. And what is to be restricted, I already told you. Just remember the word HFSS, high fat, salt, sugar foods. So always look at what you're consuming and how much of bad quality fat, how much of salt, how much of refined sugar you are adding to your diet. Now the question is that obesity management is actually telling people how to ration the intake and yet get nutrient density in the limited intake. So because quality of eating has a bearing on your internal environment. It's not only just counting your calories, okay? Counting of calories comes with your portion size, but with the portion size, incorporating all the bowls in the healthy plate bring the quality of eating. So I just share a couple of things which we have done as our institutional research cell. We worked on something called as resistant starch content of Indian foods. And what I want to share with you is that on raw basis, it is the pulses which had the highest level of resistant starch. Now, what we did was we actually looked at the resistant starch content of commonly consumed food. So what we found that the moment we soak the pulses, we cook the pulses, we germinate the pulses, we combine it with cereals, the resistant starch content increases. Even if something like rice, which is cooked and cooled, the resistant starch content increases. And what's the benefit? The moment resistant starch content increases, the glycemic response to the food decreases. Okay, so we always tell, cut down on your one chapati, but increase the quantity of your dal in your plate. But see to it that you are within a caloric framework which is recommended for your weight status, because by incorporating that pulse in your plate in good quantity and cutting down on your wheat and rice will give you a right balance to control the spikes in your sugar. Even something like dextrinization increases the resistant starch content. This is just a paper which we published And I don't want to go into the details. It's available. You all can go through at your leisure. But what I want to emphasize is this study, experimental study we did with adults, and we could achieve 16 grams of resistant starch in their diet just using natural foods. Okay. And within 2 weeks of duration, we could find a decrease in weight, waist circumference, fasting blood glucose, and a significant increase in the beneficial microorganisms in the in the fecal microflora, which was done before and after the study. So this is just to emphasize that we had significant leads, in relation to anthropometric, biochemical, and gut microbiota. Again, I bring you back to some work which we've done with nuts. And like I told you, these are 5 nuts which normally Indians would consume. So you have almonds, you have pistachios, you have walnuts, you have groundnuts, you have cashews. But if you look at all nuts give you high MUFA. Okay. Then the lowest carbohydrate is there in almonds. Okay. So which means by incorporating 2 handfuls of almonds, you're really not adding carbs to your diet, but you're adding good quality fat. You are getting a whole lot of fiber, protein, highest amount of magnesium, vitamin E, and zinc. Similarly, pistachios lead in proteins and certain carotenoids. Walnuts lead in omega-3, vitamin K1, arginine, folate, and some of the polyphenols, which are very high in walnuts. Groundnuts, again, are high in MUFA. They give you protein, folate, and zinc. And cashews, again, have the highest amount of MUFA, good amount of good quality protein, and important minerals. So what I want to share with you is this is a randomized controlled trial which we just finished and we published in Frontiers in Nutrition in June 2021, where we actually, supplemented or intervened the experimental group with 2 handfuls of almonds. And this experimental group and the control group were actually, adolescents and young adults in the age group of 16 to 25. We screened 1,300 adolescents and young adults. You will be astonished to know that 30% of them had hyperinsulinemia. So from the screened pre-diabetics, we made an experimental group and the control group. The experimental group was given, which is about 56 grams of almonds to be consumed in a day, vis-a-vis an isocaloric control snack, which was given to the control group. And what we found that there was within a span of 90 days, there was a significant reduction in HbA1c, total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, hyperinsulinemia, and IL-6, which is the inflammatory marker. So what we are trying to say is that, replacing your HFSS snacks with 2 handful of nuts can really have a remarkable effect on your internal environment. So what are the key take-home messages which I want you to remember as family physicians? Of course, in pandemic times, this pandemic is not going to leave us for the next 2 years for sure. But I think we will, by that time, we all will learn to live with the new normal. I don't think so we will ever go back to, where we were. We will always remember to maintain good hygiene practices. We will always, remember to keep safe distance, food handling. All this pandemic has taught us, I think, and this is something which you as a physician, because you are God's word to the patient, must keep on emphasizing. And of course, add to this list, get yourself vaccinated. Then as a nutritionist, I would say that you must tell your patients there is no miraculous diet which can make you absolutely slim in days. Okay. If you are doing those kind of drastic diets, somewhere you are compromising on your internal environment and you will have the repercussions sooner or later. So always encourage them to a food-based approach and help them understand how to get quality in defined quantity. Look for nutrient density. So like I said, eat less, but get more. This is what we have to teach our people at large. Start your day with whole fruits and nuts because they are alkaline, they are fibrous, they are nutrient dense. Make breakfast an important meal so that, again, remember the plate. So see to it that your breakfast has good quality protein, has fibrous carbohydrate, has some good quality fat coming through nuts. And there are various combinations which you can make once you understand what food groups you need to emphasize. Always look at your plate in your lunch and dinner. This is what you have to tell your patient. When you eat food, look at what you're eating as a meal. So look, first thing is ask yourself a question: where is the fiber in my plate? So look at your 2 bowls of veggies. The next question is ask yourself, where is my protein? So look for that protein, look for that egg, look for that katori of dal, look for that katori of curd, look for that chicken or fish, or in any form which you can have protein, but the protein must be there on your plate. And then look at the quantity of cereal. If you have 3 bowls of rice and one watery dal, then I think you may be not having too much. Your calorie count may be right, but you are definitely not getting the quality. Use fruits and nuts for snacking options. Minimize HFSS foods, which I already said, and also treat the food lovingly. Besides treating the food lovingly, emphasize on moist cooking methods, not extreme heat conditions, low moisture conditions, or pH of the food in which you cook is also very, very important. So I hope I've left you with some food for thought, which may not be specific, because I always feel that you as family physicians need to give correct generic messages to all your patients. And the second thing you need to encourage your patients is that for specific customization of your diet, please reach out to a qualified nutritionist so that she can guide you correctly. If you need any help, my email IDs are there, and you can reach me at dr.jagmeetmadan@gmail.com, or you can reach me at idanationalpresident@gmail.com, or you can go on to my website www.drjagmeetmadan.com. So thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I will be most happy to answer that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madan. I think it was about time our physicians and all the medical fraternity starts understanding the importance of bringing diet also in the treatment plan and the comprehensive ways that go about it. So thank you so much for sharing your views. Dr. Syed Omar, we have one of our doctors as the panelist. So Dr. Omar, if you're here with us, so can
Yeah, I'm here.
yeah. So do you have some questions, doctor? Please go ahead.
Ma'am, I can understand. I do understand and do agree with you regarding the nutritional facts that we of our foods. But in India, there are two things which I have seen. There is no food in India without its pesticides, its fertilizers, its hormones. There is no milk in India without our what do you call the cow guys giving them injections to increase their milk production. There is no chicken in India without people giving them foods or hormones to make them grow faster and fatter. So how do these affect the nutritional quality of the food? And I don't think that I am not sure, yeah, it's not coming in front of me that anybody has done testing on these things and showed us, look, these things, only the honey, I think you might also have seen numerous studies were shown in which honey has a lot of antibiotics. But the other, you call it the meats, red meats and everything. How much toxins are there in these things, and how much do they imperfectly impact, be it fruits or vegetables or pulses or whatever?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Syed, for bringing this point. Uh, First of all, let me reassure you that today FSSAI has n number of panels, scientific panels and scientific, which look into each category of food. And I sit on two of those scientific panels, and I know how much of detailing is done for the food safety, the toxin contents, the levels which are permissible, and based on which regulations are made. Okay. So it is not that, we are not looking at all that. We are definitely looking at all that. Going forward, government is going to come very heavily on regulation, on labeling, on documentation. So let's be rest assured that what is available to us as food is definitely going to be safe, because there is strong regulation in place. Number one. Number two is, see, it is very easy to make blanket statements, okay, without any scientific validation. So, according to me, as a medical fraternity, should be very wary about picking up these statements. I mean, as a nutritionist, we also keep reading, so many, scandalizing statements coming in media, in newspaper. But if I can give a perspective to people, that's my ability as a professional. So, what is my ability as a professional is first to even understand what is your plate like, what is your healthy plate like. Then the next step is for me to look at from where are you sourcing those foods. Okay, so I think we need to prioritize what messages we need to talk, we need to emphasize when we talk to patients. Okay, that is the point number one. Point number two is, if you ever find something which is really worrying you, that you have come across something which is a concern, please share it, with the right authorities, bring it to their notice. And let me tell you, I'm a part of those bodies that there is today government's eyes and antennas are very, very alert, very much open. And today media is with you, right? So if you highlight, escalate something which you have read with scientific documentation, which is not okay, it is something which should be brought to the notice and people should be made aware of. But my contention is, let's not sidetrack the focus, from the right eating to all these aspects, so that people get further confused, right? So the right things should be emphasized first. Whatever I just summarized in my little talk, which I gave you, is that please talk to the patients, give them these 1, 2, 3, 4 messages, make them understand that these are the important messages. If there is a concern, first validate it, verify it yourself, and then, talk about it.
One other question, ma'am. Based upon gut microbiota and weight control, what would you be the best advice that you could give patients? How much is gut microbiota responsible for gaining of weight, and how can it help in losing weight?
Okay, very good question. If you heard my talk and what I emphasized, see, the component of your diet which really makes your gut microbiota favorable is the dietary fiber. Okay, so if you have plenty of foods which give you dietary fiber, both insoluble and soluble. So which are the foods which give you dietary fiber? I just explained that one of the excellent sources is your pulses, dals, legumes. Okay, this is something which every Indian consumes, but it is never considered a priority. Why? Because they don't even understand that one katori of dal is giving you, because it is giving you the complex carbohydrates, it is giving you resistant starch, which is going to work as a prebiotic, the substrate which favors the growth of favorable microorganism in the gut. Okay, so one is dietary fiber, which you get from pulses, legumes, dals, whole grain cereals, and millets. And the second half is your locally available seasonal vegetables and fruits. I think if you are, and the third part is your nuts and oil seeds. If you're emphasizing adequately on these food groups, I guarantee you there is no question of you not developing a good gut microbiota. And there is enough evidence today to show that this gut microbiota has an impact on your hunger, on your satiety, on your hormonal milieu, which controls the utilization of sugars, spike in sugars, you know. So this whole mechanism which is in place. But when it comes to patients, you have to just talk about these food groups and say that you have these food groups adequately every day. Look at your plate, how you're distributing your food groups throughout the day, and cut down on your simple sugars, bad quality fat, bakery products, fried foods, visible fat. You don't even know how much of visible fat you're using. So all these things need to be emphasized, and it is going to have an impact on your gut microbiota.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Okay. So, Dr. Jagmeet, a wonderful talk. Couldn't have been better.
Thank you.
So well spoken about everything. But I was as if I was attending an oration. So thank you so much. It was wonderful, very informative. And what I found different was your quantity of nuts and seeds you are allowing us to have, because I always thought it was one handful. Now you're making it two handfuls, and
Right.
cutting down on the cooking fat, as you said. You are making it 10 gram now instead of usual 20-25 grams. So that is how you are balancing it out, but giving us the better. So just a few questions for you from my side. No, though it's not my privilege to ask you. One is seeds and nuts, and you have given the different types. So are you talking of two handful of almonds, or are you going to give us a breakup of or a mixture or the trail mix? How do we break it up? Because a lot of Indians love to eat cashews. So, I wanted that to be clarified. Yeah.
Yeah. See, we have, a limited randomized control trial in Indian population. So I think one has been done by Dr. Anup Mishra in pistachios. One has been done by Dr. V. Mohan on cashews. And we have, done a randomized control trial with almonds. So each of these trials, like Dr. Mishra's RCT and our RCT, what we had done was we have taken 20% of the total calories coming from nuts. So that, that 20% is designated to snacking, which fits into your dietary intake. So that 20% of the total calories came to 56 grams of nuts, of almonds. So that equates to 2 handfuls of almonds. Similarly, in Dr. Mishra's RCT also, they used 20% of the total calorie. Like I said, it has to be fitted into your total caloric intake. But I think in Dr. Mohan's study, they used 25 grams of cashews, which was about a handful of nuts. So what I'm trying to say is, among all the nuts, the total fat content and carbohydrate content is lowest in almonds. And also, there is some level of tolerance of the nuts. So among all the nuts, I feel the tolerance to almonds, even two handfuls, is much higher as compared to something like walnuts. Like, you can't be consuming 2 handful of walnuts in a day. It may irritate your gut. Some people may be allergic to it. Peanuts also, some people may be allergic to it. But with almonds, we have not read that kind of literature. But in totality, it could also be mix of nuts, like pistachio also. But they say 50 pistachios. They are more in bulk and again less in calories. So it could be one nut, or it could be a mix of nuts. But ideally, we go by what scientific evidence we have got. So we are convinced, because we worked with almonds and we have got a decrease in the inflammation level, which was very significant, decrease in hyperinsulinemia, LDL going down, total cholesterol going down, HbA1c going down. These are very lead, threads, which makes me very convinced. And I have tried it with my patients. It's a myth with people. People feel that, if they will be consuming 2 handfuls of fat, they will gain weight. If you see the data which we have, there was no increase in weight in 3 months. Rather, the body fat percentage of the control group increased, many-fold as compared to the almonds group.
Right.
And within the people who lost fat between almonds group and control group, the lowering of the lipid profile, the inflammatory marker, was significantly higher in the almond group. So, and then people say that, you consume nuts, it has a heating effect. So these are all notions which we have made in our mind. So my recommendation is, use the nut in its natural state. No salted, no roasting, nothing. If you cannot chew it well, you may soak it, but don't remove the skin, because it's the skin which is giving you the fiber. Okay. And the availability of calories within the gut with the skin is much lesser. So even if you consume 2 handfuls, it's not only giving you a prebiotic effect, it is also, having a sustained release of calories. It is decreasing the total physiological value of calories within the body. Excellent. So I think these are all the facts which have come about with the science, which has come recently.
Wow, amazing. Dr. Syed, you have a question? Otherwise, I'll ask her one more.
Sir, you can go ahead first.
Okay, thank you. So, Dr. Madan, your talk was so informative, but still, I find family physicians, when they're visiting me, and even my family members, they ultimately intermittent fasting and keto diet. And though I try to explain it to them, generally it has no impact. So can you give us in brief answer on how to explain it to a patient? So I'm asking as a family physician, if somebody comes to me and says, why should I not do intermittent fasting, or why should I not go on keto diet? Please give us some insight.
Okay. So my response to that would be that as a family physician or as a nutritionist, I can encourage somebody on intermittent fasting. Okay. But I will have my rules of intermittent fasting. My rule of intermittent fasting will be that even on intermittent fasting, you will not miss your breakfast. Okay. And you would have an early dinner. So if you're doing intermittent fasting, without missing your breakfast and having an early dinner, I have no problems. Point number 1. Point number 2, if you're eating in that limited duration, you still need to eat quality. You still need to pay attention to where is my healthy plate for my breakfast, for my lunch, for my snack, and for my dinner. Okay. So as long as I am taking care of my nutrient density, I'm not missing my breakfast, and I'm having an early dinner, I'm closing shop early, I think it's wonderful. If all Indians can do this, they all should do intermittent fasting.
Wow. You have turned the table, and now you're saying that you can, as long as you're taking balanced nutrition, balanced meal every day, and early dinner, it helps. But that is a limited window of 8 hours, isn't it, intermittent fasting? So it need not be 8 hours. It could be early breakfast, early dinner, and a lunch in between.
Yes, it helps. It helps. See, the earlier you close your shop in the day, the better advantage you get in terms of fat loss. Okay. Whereas what we do, we start our day late, so we miss our breakfast. Okay. And we say, no, we are maintaining that, 8 hours window. So I'll have my dinner at 11. So we are really not helping our circadian rhythm. We are missing a breakfast which is most important meal of the day. Okay, we are having a dinner which is very heavy, and after that it is no physical activity, right? So somewhere, we maybe this may work for some time,
Yeah.
but I anything which you want to work to achieve success should be within the framework of the right guidelines for eating and nutrition. So there is no on extremes that people get up late, they start eating at 1 o'clock, they straight away have lunch, and then they'll have their dinner at 11 or 10:30, 11, and then they think we are doing intermittent fasting because we are getting that kind of a window, we're not doing eating anything in between. See, this may work for some time, and also in addition to that, if you're not paying attention to what you're eating. Now, you talked about keto diets. Okay, now if you drastically cut down on your carbohydrates, okay, and overdo on protein, see, proteins will give you satiety, okay, but some amount of carbohydrate is needed to spare that protein for the purpose of anabolism. And some of the protein rich foods also contain carbohydrate. Like if I tell you, you have 1 katori of dal, it is giving me 20 grams of carbohydrate as 1 chapati. The only benefit is that I'm getting along with carbohydrate. But if I say that I don't have any fibrous food, I only have proteins and I go on 0 carbs, I don't think so. You're really helping your body, because physiologically, some amount of carbohydrate is needed to spare that protein to work for the benefit of your body, right?
Yep.
And we are carb people. We are Indians. We can't do without our carbs. And why should we? Why should we? And again, there is science to see that you can't continue on these diets for a long term.
Okay. Yeah. Dr. Said, you wanted to ask a question. Now it's your time. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, one thing I would like to know, a few of my patients go to this True Life and everything. Initially, for weight reduction, they are given what you call detoxification diet for the first few days. How much is that necessary? How much is that good? Or do we have it in our daily lives already, the detoxification?
So, Dr. Syed, if you ask me what are the toxins which we are consuming, the toxins which we are consuming are the HFSS foods. Okay, that's the toxins which we are consuming, which are plenty available today. Dial in, comfort of the home, everything is available, right? And this is what is our meals. I mean, if we have done studies, and what we found is that adolescents and young adults, 60% of their total intake is snacking. And out of the 60%, 70% is unhealthy snacking. So if we, to eat like this, you will not believe, I had a patient who was, I think, 35 years and 131 kgs. I asked him, I said, how did you gain so much weight? He said, Madam, he's an event manager. Last 8 to 9 years, he is eating out. He's not eaten home food for 8 years. Okay. He's been having biryani and whatever. So what I'm trying, so this is a toxic body, right? Which you have developed.
I'm from Hyderabad.
So the detoxification has to start from, introspection as to what you're doing to yourself.
And Dr. Unnati, any questions from the audience?
Yes, Dr. Raman, we do have some questions from the audience. I'll just read out for the Dr. Madan. So first question that we have is from Dr. Sandesh Patwardhan. that are there any certified diet courses for practitioners? For family physicians, he means.
Yeah. Okay. So Dr. Patwardhan, excellent question. To my mind, all the family physicians should be nutrition literate. Okay. There is a difference between nutrition literacy and nutrition expertise. Okay. So what I closed my closing sentence was that the role of family physician is to give correct generic information to our patients and also encourage them to reach a nutritionist, a professionally qualified nutritionist, to get a customization of their diet, because one size doesn't fit all, right? Things may work for you, may not work for another person. Now, certified courses, yes, we are in the process of doing it formally. In fact, not only as a national president of Indian Dietetic Association, but even as a head of an institution, we are definitely looking at nutrition literacy programs for professionals, and especially medical professionals, so that all of us are on the same page. In fact, doing one program, we are going to launch that program with the PCOS Society of India with Dr. Dhurusha. And there again, it's going to be the gynecologist, endocrinologist, the entire medical fraternity working with the nutritionist to offer that program. So which will be attended by the medical practitioners and the nutritionist. So somewhere I think what we need to know and we need to understand is we all must, I think nutrition right which every Indian has. And every Indian today should become nutrition literate. But we must know that there is a difference between nutrition literacy and nutrition expertise, because that's where once we cross these lines, we do not know, where the quackery starts coming in, where people start losing track. And now again, government has come out with a allied health bill, going to regulate every profession, including nutrition. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, I'm with you. We are working on it. And the moment we are ready with that online module for medical practitioners, we will be surely, in fact, we are going to launch it shortly. And I will share it with Dr. Goel, and he can in turn share it with you all.
Great, Dr. Madan. That was a very, I think, happy thing to hear for all our physicians attending the session. I think it was a great initiative. And so I'll just move on to the next question. So this next question is by Dr. Manish, and he's asking the importance of water and its role in weight loss when it comes to diet.
So I think water is, I mean, it's 70% of your body is water. Okay. So I think water intake needs to be emphasized at every level of obesity management. In fact, sometimes we say that if you feel hungry, the first thing that you do is you have 2 glasses of water, because your body is not craving for food. But if you just satisfy that craving by consuming adequate quantity of fluid, it curbs your hunger to a great extent. And hydration is the key to the functioning of your every cell of the body, right? So we do say that 12 glasses of water, so about 1 glass, if it is 200 ml, so 2.5 liters of water, 2 to 2.5 liters of water every day is a must for everyone. And especially you sitting in AC environments, we don't realize, I've come across so many people having kidney stones. They've developed kidney stones because of very poor water intake. So crash diets, poor water intake, I think all this is going to head to renal stones. So we must encourage. I think you should keep a bottle of water right in front of you where you're sitting. So 1 liter of bottle in front of you gets finished, fill it up, another liter done, and then another half. So you are on track. You don't have to go anywhere. And sometimes when you're working, you don't even realize you're thirsty, right? So I think we can definitely emphasize on water.
Thank you, Dr. Madan. Now, the last question for the day for you. Dr. Raksha wants to know what are your views on the use of ghee, since we being Indians and we have a lot of ghee in our foods.
Okay, Dr. Raksha, very, very important point you touched. Okay. See, use of ghee has to be, with a perspective. Okay. Like I told you that what we are looking at is, 10 ml of visible fat going in your cooking per person per day. Because I want you to get that good quality fat from your nuts and oil seeds. Okay. So within that 10 ml, if you can fit in your 2 to 3 grams of ghee, I don't think so that ghee is going to do damage to you. But if you will replace that 10 ml with 10 grams of ghee, then definitely, you will have trouble. Why? Because you need a certain balance of fatty acids in your visible fat. So what you need most is the MUFA. Then you need omega-3. And the least what you need is saturated fats, right? So you have to use ghee with a sense of discretion. Okay. So if you are having GI discomfort, there are certain conditions wherein we may even encourage little bit more of ghee because it's more easy to digest, right? But in weight management, most of the people who are on higher side of the weight are also at high risk to diabetes, at high risk to cardiometabolic risk factors, abnormal lipid profile. So there the fatty acid profile is very important. So depending on where my patient is, I will take a call. I will not make a blanket statement that, you consume it as much as you want. No. So I will use a sense of discretion before deciding how much of ghee should go in my diet.
Thank you, Dr. Madan, for patiently answering all those questions. I think everyone has a smile on their face. They are satisfied with the answers. Dr. Raman I think he cannot stop smiling with all the information he has had. So, Dr. Raman, would you like to proceed with your session now?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Unnati. And the smile is because I'm sure Dr. Jagmeet has realized with the kind of questions that we doctors want to be nutritionally well informed. So it's not about expertise in nutrition. The question about ghee or question about water these are basic understanding that is missing in the medical education, unfortunately.
Right.
And this is a crying need because the family physicians cater to the society all across the country in villages, in taluka places where there is probably no nutritionist.
Right.
Obviously, if there is some specific nutrition requirement, they will find out the nearest nutritionist, like how they would refer a patient to a bariatric surgeon. A bariatric surgeon is not in every village, but a family physician should be well aware of what bariatric surgery is. He should be literate about it. Like that, for every specialty, nutrition is a very advanced specialty, in my opinion. And I think what you have done today is given us a hope that we will have a program to get literate, because this has been my demand with you for a long time when I was a president of RO also. So thank you so much for giving time to and giving all this information. And you have made my job very easy. So friends, today I'm going to talk a bit about diet for bariatric patients and what are the challenges, what are the myths. And Dr. Madan has made life simple about healthy fats, about hydration, and all the good things that we would love to talk about. So I'll just share my screen and then we can talk about these things. So bariatric surgery and diet, and this will be a very non-specific talk because I am aware that their family is not primarily for patients because they already know this diet very well. They follow this diet with our program. And so before I go on, there are a few things that the very first slide always is the bariatric myths, because patients, their families, and rarely family physicians also feel that bariatric surgery, somebody did it because they wanted to lose weight in an easy way. Now, this is not really true, because most of these people have been to various weight loss programs or various weight loss clinics or nutritionists or gyms. They have lost weight successfully and the weight has come back. So primarily obesity is a disease and these people are suffering. So please never say that this is an easy way out. It's a very difficult way. I mean, we don't get somebody in our family done appendicectomy. So thinking of getting a partial gastrectomy or a gastric bypass is a major decision. Similarly, there is a myth that people after bariatric surgery are not able to eat, which is wrong, because most of these people are not eating well before surgery because they are trying to lose weight. They are trying to avoid eating enough to fill up their stomach. And very few have access to experts like Dr. Madan. And thus they are really hungry all the time. But after surgery, they are always able to eat till they are full. So this is a myth, and all our patients will vouch for it, that they are full with a very small meal. That's a different thing, but they're always able to eat. Then the one of the myth is that there is a lot of dietary restrictions. Even my friends say, or family members say, that if I have to diet after surgery, why I cannot diet and avoid a surgery? Which is wrong, because after surgery, nobody tells you to go on a diet. We tell you that you should eat healthy after surgery. That should be done even before surgery also, as Dr. Madan has showed. And there is one myth that people can't eat out, that they have to eat at home food, which is not true, because most of our patients in Mumbai are able to eat out whenever they go with their family, and it is definitely feasible. Certainly, one has to make right food choices, and which has been shown so beautifully in that plate by Dr. Madan. But the same kind of choices you have to make when you go out, and I don't want to talk much about it. So main thing is, what is a post-bariatric diet or post-bariatric surgery? Since the quantity is less, we give more emphasis on proteins, which could be vegetarian, non-vegetarian protein, and they have been discussed today. Then definitely a moderate amount of carbohydrates. Why I'm saying moderate amount of carbohydrates? Because you are taking mostly proteins which fill up your stomach. So automatically the carbohydrates get limited. And as she has shown, this includes even vegetables and fruits in dal, let's say. And then healthy fats. And healthy fats are important even in bariatric diet. And adequate hydration. And these slides were made before Dr. Madan took her talk. So having enough water, occasional tea, coffee, milk, buttermilk, etc., say about 2 liters a day will ensure. So it's practically the same what you eat before surgery. Only thing is that the focus remains on you don't feel weak after surgery. Now, another thing is that people feel that they are going to eat every 2 hours because they will feel hungry faster. But most of these patients whom I'm managing for last 20, 21 years with our dietitian, they are feeling more thirsty. So if they are well hydrated, they are still eating only 3 to 4 meals a day. If they are not getting hydrated, so we mix up thirst and hunger occasionally, why we end up having more than 3 or 4 meals a day. If you are drinking water adequately, then probably this is not required. And thus, you have about 3 to 4 meals, slow eating and controlled portions. Now, food items and hunger, and as she has mentioned, that proteins give satiety. The converse is, if you eat a high carbohydrate meal or high fat meal, increase in your sugar levels and some hormones, and that leads to drastic increase in insulin and drop of blood sugar. So then you're hungry again. But if you eat proteins, the blood sugar levels increases gradually and for a sustained time. And that's why end up eating less number of meals. So you have proteins, the sugars go gradually up for next 3 to 4 hours. You are not hungry, and thus you are able to avoid that for extra meal between two major meals. So this is one way, and this is the same thing that has been discussed. Proteins gives fullness, satiety. It gives less calories than fat. So 1 gram of protein, let's give 4 calories, while fats give about 9 calories. And the more calories is spent in digestion of proteins. So it's about 30% calories they are spent on digestion compared to 10% or other like carbohydrates. So you are taking less calories and you are spending more calories on a digestion itself, and then it delays hunger. So I'm not saying that I have only proteins, but what I'm saying is you should have proteins, what has been recommended by dietitian of our bariatric program. And then people say that we will have cravings after surgery. Now, the cravings are not a function of the stomach. Cravings are occasionally a function of the. So first and the foremost is that cravings are like habits, and you need to accept that these cravings are not normal. So it is not necessary that whatever you are doing up till now was normal or good. So you have to accept that we are going for a new normal. And that can be very easily done if you are in a positive frame of mind. Like our patient shared success during a support group meeting. You weigh yourself on a weekly basis, the weight loss every week with your friends and family. Say that I have lost 2 kgs in 1 week or 1 kg in 1 week, and say I'm going to maintain this. Measuring your exercise outcomes and learning to say no. Your friends in good faith might offer you ice creams or sweets which are not good for you. You can simply say no and choose something more healthy. So all these things help in reducing this habit of a craving or a craving which is a habit. And if you have them, then it's a good idea to come back for follow-up with our nutritionist and have some counseling sessions, because this is something which can be changed by more conversation and by understanding of nutrition than anything else. And habits can be changed in many other ways, that you do the shopping yourself, you buy things which are healthy, wrong foods. So when we come from a flight, international flights, everybody wants to buy chocolates in a duty-free shop. That can be completely stopped. You can buy nuts, as Dr. Madan has shown today, and you can give nuts to your friends and family. You can avoid sweets at home. If somebody gives sweets, you can either politely refuse or gift it to somebody who is not obese and who can probably accommodate those sweets. Avoid biscuits, avoid chips, avoid cold cuts in meats, so that you're not tempted to have them. If you have them at home or in your fridge, you are likely to consume them at some time in the day. Whether you have it for your son or daughter, you are going to have it at some time. So keep healthier alternatives at hand. It could be fruits, dates, or nuts. And if you really don't want to miss them, you can probably have a bite once a fortnight. So when my patients eat, which will ask me, which is going to be my cheat day, I say, don't ask for a cheat day. Say, don't even ask for a cheat meal. You should be asking for a cheat bite. So if you have a cheat bite, it serves the same purpose, whether you have a bite of rasgulla or whether you have 3 rasgullas. It's the same amount of sweet. It's more of a craving or a habit that I should have 2 rasgullas, and then only I'll get satiety. So friends, most of the cravings pass off within 20 minutes. So if you ever have a craving, just distract, make a mobile phone call to somebody whom you want to talk. And you can work, you can start some work, you can walk, you can talk, you can do anything. Avoid sleeplessness, because it is known that people who are sleepless have more cravings. So a lot of patients come to us and say that they are really hungry at 1 a.m. in the morning, and they don't want to eat food. They want to eat chips. They want to eat chocolates at that time. Things can be avoided if you are sleeping well and if you are well hydrated. Identify your pillar of strength. We have this buddy system. So if you have undergone bariatric surgery and you are feeling lost, find somebody else who had a bariatric surgery, or a good friend of yours who has not had a bariatric surgery. Talk to them, share your experiences, and they will help you. And remain positive, because negativity breeds. So you should never have guilt after eating something, having a bite of chocolate. If you are having a bite of chocolate once in a fortnight, do it willfully and don't feel guilty about it. But that can only be done if you are positive about it. So to summarize, habits do not change because you had surgery. I mean, a lot of people feel surgery and now my behavior will automatically change. Behaviors don't change. You need to work on them, and we are there to help you to work on them. And you can approach us. All of you know how to reach out to us through any of these options, and we will be there to help you. So thank you so much. And if there are any questions, I'll be very happy to answer, Dr. Unnati.
Very nicely done, Dr. Raman. Thank you so much.
Yeah, when I spoke about patients, how patients should do it, it's basically for family physicians.
Correct.
But how we manage our patients, and they can also talk in the same way to the patients.
And so why not hear it from a patient only? Like, let's just, we have, I think you remember this patient. She's also a doctor, Dr. Gauri. Her name is Dr. Gauri Joshi. So she was one of your patients, and she has given a testimonial for all of us. So I think a lot of our family physicians and even Dr. Madan and Dr. Syed would get to know the insights of the patient. So can we have the patient's video, please? Okay, before that, I'm so sorry. Dr. Syed, Dr. Madan, do you have any questions for Dr. Raman? Or would you like to add something to the discussion?
Dr. Madan and Dr. Goel, both of you, this question. So how much do you think would the Indian, meaning our rice and wheat diet impact your patients with bariatric surgery? And does the stomach, if a patient he loves food, I know a few patients who love food, but he have bariatric surgery. And does the stomach also, even after the surgery, can the stomach expand again?
Yeah. So Dr. Syed, not only the patients love food, even the bariatric surgeon also loves food. So I think loving food is not to be taken negatively. Food is an important component of our life, and we should not hesitate by accepting it. But whether I hear this mostly from southern doctors, South Indian doctors, about rice eating and whether the stomach will expand. Yes, the stomach has to expand. If his stomach doesn't expand, the person will keep on losing weight perpetually and will become malnourished. So stomach does expand, and that helps stabilize weight at a certain level. But whether expansion of stomach will cause weight gain in long run, no. So it has been documented and published that even if the stomach becomes 4 times of what we have done, it doesn't cause weight gain. So most of our patients, if they are able to eat, let's say, a quarter chapati a month after surgery, will be able to eat about 1 chapati to 1.5 chapati per meal after 1 to 2 years. And that's where it stabilizes. So the food size quantity, in an indirect way, you can measure the stomach size is about 4 to 6 times. And still they are able to maintain weight because they are eating less than what a nutritionist would advise for weight loss. So if I go to Dr. Madan for weight loss, she will say, Dr. Goel, don't have more than 2 chapatis a meal, have a balanced meal, this, that. So my patients are eating still less than that, even after expansion of stomach. And that is why almost 80% of them will never regain weight. Dr. Madan, you want to add something?
I think for bariatric surgery, what really one needs to ponder is the benefit which the patient gets in terms of comorbidities. So, and somewhere I relate the comorbidities with the quality of life. So I think if by doing bariatric surgery, you're in a position to achieve that kind of weight loss, which is going to get you a better control on all those life-threatening comorbidities, and you can lead a good quality of life. I think that's where the importance of bariatric surgery really comes in, and so it's a very good option. And I think, Dr. Goel, maybe you can throw light on, whether bariatric patients, especially girls, can they conceive after doing bariatric surgery? Can they have a normal pregnancy?
Yeah. So I completely agree with you that the comorbidity is a major concern, and comorbidity resolution after bariatric surgery has completely, understanding of that has completely transformed the way we look at bariatric surgery. So, we started this almost 20 years back, and we were doing it only for weight loss. And the cutoffs were 40 BMI and 35 BMI. And now I can offer bariatric surgery at 27.5 BMI, only for diabetes. So from treatment of weight, now we have shifted completely to treatment of diabetes. And likewise for many things, a lot of comorbidity at 30 BMI, we can offer this surgery, which includes polycystic ovaries, like you are saying, among girls, whether we can offer it, among women, we can offer it. So I think the focus has completely changed, and one has to realize that bariatric surgery is for very limited number of obese people. It's like about 2% of the population. 98% patients or obese, let's not call them patients, are still to be managed with the nutrition and behavioral changes. So as far as whether these women can conceive, yes, of course. Polycystic ovaries and almost similar disease as far as etiopathogenesis is concerned. We know that. And so if it can give 7.5 BMI in diabetes, it should also give benefit to polycystic ovaries. So what happens is that hormones normalize in these women immediately. Within 3 to 4 months, they start having normal periods. Almost 70% of women, hirsutism and hoarseness of voice goes away, and the fertility improves. Only caveat is that we tell patients not to get pregnant in first month, because that is a weight loss period, and the nutrition cannot be assured for both the mother and fetus. But after 1 year, a lot of studies have shown that it's comparatively much better and easier to get pregnant and have a normal pregnancy.
Thank you.
Great, I think. And Dr. Madan, this patient of ours who's going to talk today was very young when she got the surgery. She was 28, and it's been 10 years and full family life. So I think her testimonial is going to help people understand more about your question. So if all good to go, then let's just go ahead with our patient video.
Yes.
Okay.
Pratik, please, can we have the video?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Gauri Joshi, and I'm a bariatric patient. I've undergone my gastric bypass surgery way back in 2008, and my weight then was 127 kgs. My lowest weight post-surgery was 71, and right now on 11th August 2021, my weight is 80 kgs. So I've put on and then I'm again on my weight loss journey. That's about a quick small introduction, and professionally otherwise I'm into the space of facilitation and coaching and management education and human resources consulting. But as far as my bariatric surgery is concerned, I'm a gastric bypass patient.
Thank you, Dr. Gauri. This was a great about you, and we are very pleased to have you here. As you know that your testimonial, your interview is going to help and motivate a lot of physicians, and they are going to return motivate a lot of patients to get the surgery whenever needed. So I'll just have I have a couple of questions for you. So what all health issues were you facing before pediatric surgery?
So maybe because I was very young when I undergo the pediatric surgery, I was just 28 years old when I got operated. So maybe because of my age, I guess, I did not have too many physical or physiological problems or complaints that I'm aware of. Internally, I have no idea, but externally, I didn't have symptoms of too many issues. So I did not have diabetes. I did not have hypertension. I did not have any joint pain or muscle pain. So the only physical problem I had was hypothyroidism. I'm still a patient of hypothyroidism. So I just had the thyroid hormonal problem. Otherwise, I did not have any physical health issue or health ailment. Yes, because of my weight, I used to get tired easily. I had the general lethargy and the general regular aches and pains, which is because you're carrying the weight of two people on your self. So, okay, general sedentary lifestyle, and okay, even if I have to get up a few 100 meters, I'll be left down, let me take my vehicle. Or if I have to go to somebody's house, I would ask, okay, do you all have an elevator? I'm not going to climb stairs. So these kind of small little daily hassles, but no severe or serious health complaints to talk about.
Glad to know about it. And my next question to you is that how did you decide that you have to take the pediatric surgery? What was your decision factor?
So the thing I would like to share here is that for somebody who is already into 3 digits, more than 100 kilos, I was 127. So for somebody who is so obese or super obese or hyper obese, it was extremely difficult for me to lose weight the normal, natural way without the surgery. It is not that I did not try. I tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed, and it went on for years. So I would lose 5-10 kg, I would lose few kilos, and then it would come back with a vengeance, I should say, because then I would be so tired of the regular methods. By regular methods, I mean low-calorie diet plan, which is what is conventionally offered to obese patients, and exercise regime. I tried swimming, I tried gym or workouts at the gymnasium, I tried long walks, brisk walks. I tried naturopathy. I left and went for a couple of weeks to a camp, which was a nature camp, where almost like a rehab center, where I could be locked up into a confined area, and I would try to lose weight by cutting off interaction with the external environment, which includes or which means junk food. So I tried all those methods in numerous times, but I just could not succeed. And the weight, I lost few kgs, but that was not enough. So from 127 to 119 or 120 is not good enough. I need to be 70 or 80 kgs or maybe lesser than that. So to answer your question, how or why did I decide to do the surgery, is after I had tried whatever the regular known mechanisms I was aware of. After having tried all of those couple of times, after not getting success and reaching a peak of frustration that, damn, it's not happening, damn it, it is creating interferences and problems for me, not necessarily physical in nature. So that's when I decided to explore this option through two known sources. A very dear friend of mine, very close friend of mine, knew about, she's in the health space. So she knew about the bariatric surgery and she suggested to me. And my first cousin had a friend who had undergone a bariatric surgery. So in an interval of 2 months, coincidentally, both these significant in my life mentioned about the bariatric surgery, which got my attention onto it, and we started researching and we started exploring. So that's the reason. I tried the bariatric surgery after having failed at all other natural known methods a couple of times.
That I think was a very, very nice way to put it, because, sometimes people have a perception that maybe, you could have tried the natural conventional method, and you insist, emphasizing on the fact that you did try and then it did not work out, makes it really clear for the people who are, I think, fighting the same battle. So I congratulate you for, opening up to us, and about your problems so nicely. So how has the journey been after bariatric? Through bariatric, how did you cope up with all the stress?
So it was not stressful. So I'm not sure if I want to validate the stress part of it. It was not stressful because I had researched well. I knew what I was signing up for, and I had people in my close circle, my support system, who were reinforcing that this is the right decision. So it was not stressful for me. Psychologically, but yes, physiologically, of course, the body went through a lot of changes. How did I cope with it? For a year or almost a year and a half, my complete attention was on my body. So which specifically means I was doing 3 to 4 things religiously by the book for 1.5 years after my surgery. So what the 4 things that I was doing was, one is, of course, diet and nutrition. Because immediately after surgery, you feel your body or your digestive tract feels like, or to me, it felt like a small baby or an infant. So then I would eat morsels. So it was like weaning. So I would start with the semi-solid, the liquids, and then the semi-solids, and then the solids in very, very small portion sizes, like just a spoonful or a little, instead of a teaspoon or tablespoon, and then a serving spoon, or maybe 2 spoonfuls instead of 1. So the journey was like literally and figuratively to start life all over again, like a small baby or an infant. So the diet and nutrition part was one of the things I focused on. I regularly went for follow-ups with my surgeon, the doctor, the dietitian, the entire team. I regularly went for follow-ups and strictly did what they asked me to do in terms of diet and nutrition. That was one way of managing myself after the surgery. The second thing I focused my attention on post-surgery was exercise and an active lifestyle. This was difficult for me because it is not just physiological, it's also a lot psychological. Because of the baggage that I was carrying, because of my past failures with exercise, because if my gym instructor says run on the treadmill for 20 minutes, in barely 2 minutes I would be breathless, and I was like, how do I touch a target of 20 minutes if I can barely do 2 minutes? So with the baggage of the past failure on exercise, the exercise part was very difficult for me because I had a mental block. I can't exercise. But slowly and steadily, I had to overcome that mental barrier. And I started with my walks. I increased the time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I increased my speed, the intensity. And gradually, with time, as my surgeon, my doctor, dietitian, the entire team was regularly supporting and guiding. So I started with the gym. I joined a gym. It was a new experience for me to not give up or not drop out or bunk my gym within few weeks. So gymming and exercising was the second thing I did. So first was nutrition, second was the exercise. The third thing I did religiously without fail is my supplements. Okay, so there are protein shakes, there are calcium supplements, there are iron supplements, there are multivitamins, and there are some specific supplements for some specific vitamins. So I had to make sure that I did not have a casual attitude towards any of my supplements. Even now, right now, before this meeting, I popped in my supplement because my doctor says that after gastric bypass, you have to go on with your supplements for a lifetime. Unlike maybe a sleeve or something else where you could stop after a while if your doctor advises you. So strictly under doctor's supervision. So supplements was the third major thing I had to do, or to include it in my lifestyle as a part of managing my new life. And the fourth and the last thing I did for the next year and a half was regular body massages, because I was prepared that my body is almost going to shrink. I'm going to become half the size of what I am. So what happens to the skin at 30? I don't want to look like 60, or at 40, I don't want to look like 80. So I had to make sure that I took my body massages. First, it was 3 times a week, then twice a week. Even today, 10, 12 years after surgery, I regularly take a full body massage at least once in a week. That's my Sunday routine and my regime. So I did these 4 things to manage myself after my surgery for the short span of about a year and a half. Regular nutrition, good, healthy nutrition, proper diet consultation, and following and adhering to the diet plan that my dietitian on the CMS team has recommended. Second was exercising regularly, and I'm still doing that. My personal trainer is going to come in a few minutes from now after this meeting. So my fitness training is still on, supplements which is still on, body massages which is still on, which means though initially do it more rigorously, but later it becomes a part of your life. You can never say, okay, I'm just going to bring about this change in my lifestyle, which is temporary for 2 years, and then forget about it. No. So if you're going to do a bariatric surgery, you need to mentally prepare yourself for what you're signing up. I don't intend to scare people. I intend to say it in a positive way, because it's a huge lifestyle change, and you want this change for a lifetime. You don't want it just for a few years to achieve some short-term goals, like however important those goals may be. So this is the life management that I am doing post-surgery. There was a point where there was a weight gain. I don't know if you want me to talk about it right now, or you're going to put in a separate question. Just wait for that chance.
I think your answers are very precise and elaborate, both because which is what we need in this program. So I would actually like to congratulate you for your determination. I think it is very important, for us to, what I understood from your journey was that you were very thorough, you were very well researched, and that is what I think the entire team will suggest to the patients and to the doctors who are advising their patients to go through bariatric surgery. So I think we have had a precise amount of information. And thank you so much, Dr. Gauri. I'm really grateful to you for taking out the time, coming here and talking to us about it. And I will ask you to please keep continuing your journey and keep inspiring people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Dr. Unnati?
Congratulations, Dr. Raman.
Yeah.
Sorry, the power just went out at my place. So
No problem.
So
Thank
congratulations. You. The patient was very happy to talk about it. And I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Madan as well. Thank you, ma'am, for taking out such a precious time and talking to us about it. So if we get any other questions from the audience, we'll do forward you, and we'll look forward to hear from both of you again. To all our viewers out there, let's see you next Thursday with a fresh series on obesity management. Till then, please stay safe, stay connected. Over to you, Dr. Raman.
Okay, thank you so much. First to Dr. Madan for joining in this activity. I mean, she's an ultimate authority in nutrition in the country, president of Indian Dietetic Association, and in charge of SNDT in Juhu. So I think that's a great, and she's always been a great speaker and brings a lot of data in her talk and relevant to the audience. So thank you so much, Dr. Madan, for joining in today. And just to brief, Dr. Gauri Joshi has been a great follower of bariatric program. She gained about 15 to 18 kgs, and then she went on a very corrective nutrition, and she lost almost 15 kgs out of it. So she's a classic example of how somebody can ensure that they can follow up long term. And even if they go wrong, sometime they go to she went to a nutritionist closer to her home and got proper advice and followed it to the T. And she has brought her weight down. And not only that, she got herself educated in nutrition from our international forum, and she follows that. So thank you, Gauri, for joining today. And of course, Dr. Unnati and Docplexus, thank you very much for organizing this program on a regular basis.
Thank you, Dr. Raman. Thank you, Dr. Madan. Thank you, entire team, Dr. Syed. Look forward to see you again in the next seminar.
Thank you, everyone.
Till then, please take care, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Syed. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Bye, ma'am.